E.S.P, the psychic senses, which is your dominant sense. With me, Sue Burton Hidalgo, Master Healer and Top 100 Psychics in America. This short little course is to help you find out what is your ESP skill. When people think of ESP, they think of seeing ghosts and guides or foretelling the future. And unfortunately, most people usually associate doing that with disaster, death, and negativity. Well, extrasensory perception is so much more than that. It's based on the 5 regular senses and how they extend into hypersensible realms. Some of us have a really good sense of smell and some of us don't. Some of us have better hearing than others. All of us have a 6th sense and some of us have it more developed than others. All of the extraordinary senses, I call them extended sensory perceptions, are based on the 5 ordinary senses. Just as most people favor one of the physical senses over the others, we often favor one of the psychic senses over the others. Even in the common 5 senses, most of us are highly visual. That's our most dominant sensory processing style. And the second dominant sensory processing style is kinesthesia or touch. And then hearing, taste, and smell all run a close next in the way that we process sensory information. Let's talk about consciousness for a moment. Seeing, sensing, or hearing guides, the dead, angels, etc., along with other things we think or recognize as psychic, like precognition, retrocognition, remote viewing, seeing energy fields, telepathy, intuition, psychokinesis, all the variety of ways the 6th sense can function. And they all come from the 5 senses extended beyond their typical range of consciousness. While our mind is the central hub for the information, and we connect with it through our 5 senses dash the extended senses of them, yet the consciousness itself is more than a brain and more than our body. Just reflect on that for a little while. I can see why people may have termed it extrasensory perception, but I like the idea of extended sensory perception. And just as we can encourage our sense of taste, then we can also encourage our extended sense of taste, the clairgustatory. We can increase our extended sense of touch, the clairsentience, and our extended sense of hearing, clairaudience, and our extended sense of sight, clairvoyance, and our extended sense of smell. All of these are termed after French word clair, meaning clear. These 5 senses are connected to the mind, and so much more than that, they're connected to consciousness. So clairalience, a sense of smell. Sometimes I will be able to smell a memory of a person's and talk about that. Clairvoyance, I oftentimes see the energy field of people, their chakras, or even their dearly beloved. Clairsentience, I'll be able to feel their bodies or what other people are feeling about them. Clairgustance, this happens a lot for me when I am doing energy work. I usually can taste the 5 types of taste associated with 5 elements of Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. Clairaudience, I oftentimes will hear a message from beyond the physical world. I once even heard some monks chanting in India and was able to tell my friend what they were chanting, even though, of course, I don't speak Sanskrit. There's a great deal that can be done through these extended sensory perception. So these senses and how we know our world through these 5 senses and through our mind and their extended sensory perception are stimulated by experiences and by memory. We may be triggered by hearing words in our mind like, hey, stupid, or you can't, or you shouldn't. Or we may trigger through someone touching us. We have a memory of something in the past, touching an object or pressure or temperature even. We can pick up psychosomatic information. Tasting, and a lot of times I can tell what might be having for dinner later through focusing on it. Smelling, we oftentimes smell a perfume. I can know when my mother, who's passed over, is near me or wants to give a message through, I smell what she smelled like when I was a little person. Seeing, we can have an image in our mind that connects us to something that we can relate to. For example, I once asked my guides while they were all blonde and blue-eyed, and for a while they appeared as people of other races and even as geometric shapes and colors. They said that we appear to you in imagery that's easy for you to relate to, so it doesn't cloud the message that we're trying to get across. Another trigger might be, what does a person think? So when someone asks me, how does my brother who's passed over, what's he thinking about me? I can get a feeling of that, and the thought comes into my mind, and I'm able to tell a story about it. It's very interesting how the triggers work for the physical senses and the psychic senses and the consciousness, the conclusions we've come to. I love this illustration about the human mind and how it works. It's like an iceberg with positive and negative thoughts, memories, and beliefs. When you look at an iceberg, sometimes you only see 10% of it on the top of the water. That's conscious mind. And a good 90% is under the water in the subconscious, which can be drawn back to memory, or even 40% in the unconscious mind. The management of our mind's response to stimulants or triggers that we just spoken about is something we can work with consciously. Reflection and redecision are power tools for changing what the affect of our five sense impact and choices about them is. The conscious mind controls are always available, accessible information. It's within our willpower. We can use it to think logically and make decisions. The subconscious mind controls are data we have to dig to access. It's oftentimes recurring thoughts below the surface, which creates behaviors, habits, and feelings. And the subconscious can remember recent things very well. The unconscious mind controls beliefs and habits and memories from age 0 to 7, traumatic stored events, phobias, and addictions, and information that's kept hidden, locked, that resists change. And it overrides information stored in the conscious or the subconscious. It's very powerful. And it is something that we assume is us in our life. Again, this is not a course on that. There's some wonderful courses about Huna, Polynesian shamanism, and I'll talk about that in another course. So if you will settle in and find a comfortable place to sit for about 10 minutes or so, we're going to explore the extended senses through a little imagination meditation exercise. And as we do, I'd like to encourage you to just take note of which ones are the deepest or easiest for you to do. So find a place to sit comfortably, and settle in. Take a big breath and let it out. And just any place that's kind of tight, stretch it a little bit and let it go. Take another breath in, and as you do, just blow and release any tensions that you're holding in your body until your entire body becomes further and further relaxed. Great meditations have that all in common, that you get your body settled and relaxed. And then, with your body comfortable and all bits of it having breath, gentle relaxation brought into the legs and the bottom and the belly and the arms and the chest, relaxing deeply, and the neck and the jaws and the mouth, the whole face, and the muscles around the head, allowing your eyes to just melt back into your cavities as though they were marbles dropped into cream, sinking and sinking more and more inside, relaxing, and your breath becomes a soft sound, a gentle, comfortable inhalation and exhalation. In. And now that you're relaxed a little bit, I'd like to encourage you to remember a time when you were standing looking out at some beautiful landscape, perhaps row upon row of mountains in the sunset or the sunrise, so gorgeous, the colors so vibrant. You can see the softer blues in the distance and the deeper blues up front, and even closer to you is green grass covered in bountiful flowers. You could look down and look around and see the details in the flowers surrounding you. And perhaps, once you've viewed the vista, you'd like to walk back towards your own home and you notice that there's a brick pathway. The brick pathway is under an arbor, an arcing arbor full of roses and other flowers. Take a moment and look at the colors, pinks and reds and whites. How beautiful they are. And the brick pathway curves around to the edge, and your eyes follow it, looking forward to seeing what else you can see. As you're walking along, perhaps you can hear the pitter-pat of a few raindrops falling, and then all of a sudden more and more rain falls, and it becomes a downpour, a thunderous downpour. Beautiful rain falling everywhere. And as you see the rain falling and falling, hearing it falling and falling, then you hear it cease. At first it's a little bit, and then a few drops, and the water drips, and you hear it drip. And then there's the sudden call of birds just singing their little hearts out with a beautiful sound so loud, so reverberant. As you come to the edge of the path, you notice there's a table, and someone has left you a steaming hot cup of coffee or tea, and you can lean over and just smell this amazing aroma of it. While they were leaving such beautiful coffee on the table, they also left you some flowers, lavenders and basil and roses, all kinds of flowers. What can you smell? What scent reminds you of something that's so precious? Flowers you've received, perhaps, or flowers you've planted, the smell of them. Not only that, on this beautiful table, they've left you some lemons to squeeze into water. Imagine that you pick one up and you taste the lemon with your mouth. If you look across the table, you're going to see that there's eggs and kiwis and tart strawberries. Maple syrup is there for you. It's just these beautiful things that you can eat and taste. When you're done with your meal, you look around and you notice that someone has left a basket with a kitten in it. It's such a fuzzy, fluffy kitty that you want to touch it. It's in this soft, fluffy blanket. Everything is just so soft and silky that you enjoy stroking it and feeling it. You also notice that there's a little stream nearby, and it has a little rocky beach, and you can pad down to the water with your feet touching these soft little pebbles that squish around as you walk on them. When you get into the edge of the little stream, you step in and the water washes up over the soles and tops of your feet. It's so cool and it's so refreshing. So how is that for you? Which senses were the strongest for you to imagine with your psyche, your consciousness? This is the sense that it would be most easy for you to perceive extrasensory information with it. We all take in through our senses. What we make of our senses is individual. For over 40 years, I've trained professional healers, psychics, and mediums, as well as coaching personal growth sessions. In every session, every class, it's how the person lives as a happy human. It's not enough to learn skills. We must learn to think about what we make of our experiences, our senses. This is what makes us a better human, a better practitioner. So it's really not about psychism at all. However, this is how we receive extrasensory impressions through our physical senses and as our mind. So I wish you great joy in your journey on the planet as a human being, and I hope I'll see you for some of our online courses. Thank you.